Direct sowing your crops in the garden. Oh, how wonderful it is. That is when you have success doing so. You see, direct seeding crops, it brings with it its own unique set of challenges. But when you see those challenges through, you make it to the finish line, you go from seed to harvest, there's not much else that compares as far as that sense of accomplishment that you get, knowing that you took part, you facilitated, you took care of the plant, and you saw the project to its ending, and now you're able to bring some of that produce to the dinner table. So today, I'm going to share with you some quick and easy tips when it comes to direct seeding in your garden, so you have the highest probability of success. Now, there's many reasons why somebody would want to direct seed in the first place. You're going to save a lot of time and effort doing so versus starting seeds early indoors and transplanting them out. Not to mention, you're going to be able to avoid transplant shock, a common occurrence when you go from a pot into the ground. It takes a couple weeks usually for that plant to adjust. So by bypassing that period of shock that many plants go through, we're going to get a harvest earlier and maybe even increase our harvest if we're pulling multiple harvests from that crop. All right, so I'm going to be direct sowing some carrots today. I've got multiple patches that I'll be establishing, and carrots are a cool weather loving crop. So you can get them in the ground about 3 to 4 weeks before your last frost date. That's as long as your ground is workable, not frozen, but preferably about 45 degrees Fahrenheit or warmer. So the first step is finding the proper location. Carrots like full sun. So this little patch in the garden should do just perfect. And now that we've selected our location, all we need to do now is to clear the area of any mulch, any grass, any weeds. So I'm just going to scooch back the mulch, which is mainly wood chips here, and a bit of chop and drop. Just using my rake here, I'll pull this material back. And if you're not aware what the term chop and drop means, that's where you take plant matter that's growing in your garden, you prune it off the plant, you drop it onto the floor of your garden as a means of mulch. Mulching is going to reduce your watering requirements throughout a season. It's going to help to create a skin layer over the soil surface, locking in the moisture and protecting it from erosion. So now I'm getting ready to loosen up the soil. You want to go down at least 10 inches or so when preparing a bed for carrots. Unless they're baby carrots, you can go about half that distance. But carrots also do very well in a raised bed garden situation because they do love loose soil. But regardless of what type of seed that you're direct sowing, this first step of preparing the soil, amending the soil in many cases, is so important, as the soil is the foundation to your overall plant's health. It's going to help determine what type of success you get, the health of your plants, how resilient it is against pest, disease, drought, flooding. So take an extra moment to appropriately work your land or fill your raised bed with quality ingredients. I'm really happy with what I'm seeing here in this bed. You know, one of the main benefits to consistent gardening is every year the soil gets better and better. I went from a clay, trashy soil to this crumbly, rich, dark, moist soil over the course of many years, and it just breaks up now, crumbles. Beautiful stuff. So this soil would have absolutely no issues growing an amazing crop, but since I've got things disturbed, this would be the time to add in any amendments, any added nutrition. I'm going to do just that today. So I'm going to start off today by adding in some homemade worm castings. going to do 3 big scoops right here in this carrot patch. Worm castings are so valuable. Not only are we adding in some nutrition for the plants, we're helping to amend this soil, create a more humus-like structure over time. And worm castings are loaded with beneficial microbes. Microbes are the construction workers of your soil, helping to break down organic materials, creating optimum soil tilth. Next, I'm going to add in a bit of this product known as Amend. It comes out of the bag. It's essentially composted down materials. If you don't have a product like this, which just helps to amend your native soil, especially if you have clay conditions, adding in these organic materials helps a lot. Then you can use finished compost that you create right on site. I'm a big fan of both techniques. I keep some of these bags on hand and I create compost on site. So now that I have the native soil loosened up and we've added in some amendments, I'm just going to go through with my soil scoop and break up some of the lumps and mix everything together. Don't want to hurt that little guy, garden buddy. But this is the point I like to get in here with my hand tools and get a better feel for what's actually happening here in my plot. Any larger chunks you can kind of scoop away to the side, make a little border. It'll help to retain moisture in that area. Something else I want to mention, these gloves that I'm wearing here, these have become my absolute favorite gardening style gloves. These are made out of cotton and nylon. They're breathable. They protect your hands from injury, from getting grimy, getting dirt, soil under the nails. You can use these for all different tasks, not just in the garden, but if you're working on the car, what have you. And you can buy these in bulk and get them for about 70 cents a pair. And they hold up for quite some time, 3-4 weeks. But because it's so low profile, you almost forget they're on there. It's like having an extra set of skin over your hands, so they don't hinder you in any way when you're doing gardening. Just thought I'd mention it. I'm a big fan of comfort and ergonomics in the garden. Anytime you can make gardening more enjoyable, easier on the body, the more likely you are to do more of it. And in my opinion, the more you garden, the happier you become. All right, so our plot is ready now. What I'm going to do is use my soil scoop. You could use your fingers even to do this. And I'm just going to carve out some little furrows, little seed trenches here. I picked up this cool variety pack of carrot seed online. I'm going to give this a go. But 10 different types of carrots in here. Purple, red, white, yellow, what have you. Anyway, I thought this was a great deal. You can check the links below if you're interested in seeing where I picked these up. So I'm going to seed some of these yellow carrots in this patch here. Now, you want to plant your carrots about 1/2 inch deep. And you can space them about 1/3 of an inch from each other. And what you're going to do when the carrot top grows up about 2 inches above the ground, you can then thin them out to about 2 to 3 inches apart. And that's for larger carrots. Baby carrots, you thin it out to about 1 inch. Now, tapping out seeds from a plastic bag is somewhat difficult. So you can transfer these into a paper envelope, makes it much easier. Or you can pick up yourself one of these fancy seeders. Actually not too fancy, they're very cheap and effective. Just pull the top off. Add your seed inside, and then this little lid has different size openings depending on your side seed, so that they all don't come rushing out at the same time. So we'll try this number 1 here for smaller seed. And now we can tap our way through each one of these, and I don't know if you're seeing the actual seeding because they're like little dust particles almost, but I'm not precise or exact. So there we are, seeded in a second, and now we're just going to slightly dust back over these little seed trenches. Try to avoid any larger clumps of dirt. And there you have it, we're planted. Now let's water this in. My friends, I just want to remind you, if you don't have any of these amendments, you don't have any of these special little tools like the soil scoop I'm using, do not be discouraged. Gardening is one of the easiest things that you can do, one of the best investments you can make. All it really entails is planting your seed in some soil, keeping it watered, planting it in a proper location where it gets adequate sunlight, and you're going to have success. These tips that I'm sharing with you on this channel are to get you to that next level, which will help you to increase your success rates and at the same time build some of the best soil in your garden, which is one of the greatest investments you can make. Now we could walk away from this here, keep it watered, and grow some great carrots. But if you really want to increase your odds of success, we want to protect this patch at least until those carrots are better established. We don't want wild bird or a roaming chicken coming over here plucking out, eating those seeds. So what I suggest doing is dusting the top with a very fine mulch, something like this here. This easy straw with tack is excellent for mulching over small seed. You really don't need a whole lot of this, and you're just going to put a very light dusting over the area that you seeded. This is going to not only camouflage your planting, but it's going to prevent that top layer of soil from drying out. And because this stuff is chopped so fine, it just floats over the surface like so. Then what you want to do is water over the top of the straw. There's a biodegradable bonding agent which helps that straw to bind together so that it doesn't just blow away. And this will end up completely breaking down into your soil over the next couple months. And this stuff goes a very long way. This one little bag will do up to 500 square feet. So to put that in perspective, if you had a 10-foot wide plot, you could go 50 feet by 10 feet. And I've seen places like Tractor Supply carry this, but you can also get it online, free shipping. I'll drop a link down below where I pick mine up at. Now the last and final step I recommend when direct sowing seeds, and again, we're just covering all the bases here today, guys. I really don't like losing my crops, not just because the effort I put in, but I look forward to the harvest. I look forward to consuming what we're growing here and enjoying some nutritious, delicious meals. So I'm going to add a little bit of this floating row cover over the top of my planting. I recommend purchasing this material in bulk. You're going to end up using it, and it's reusable. You can actually use this for multiple seasons. We only need this on here for a few weeks, and this is not only going to help to protect our patch here from wildlife like birds, but it's also going to help protect it from freezing temperatures, frost. Although carrots can handle frost and below freezing temperatures as long as the ground doesn't freeze, this is going to give it that added layer of protection. And we're just going to lay it right over top and secure it with some rocks or bricks, anything heavy on the corners. And I'm going to leave it just a little bit loose. Depending on what type of crop you're growing, it may need a little bit of room to grow upwards. Well, it's called a floating row cover because it floats up with the plant growth. It doesn't hinder it, compressing it down to the ground. The sun can penetrate through this material. Water can penetrate through here. You can water right over it if you want. And we have now all but ensured that we are going to have success growing out our carrots in our garden. Such a rewarding feeling. So with that, my friends, I'm going to continue to establish a few more carrot patches today. Time is of the essence. You know, spring is right around the corner. Getting ahead of the game is the name of the game. So I'd encourage you, if you can get out to the garden for even 10 minutes a day, weather permitting, or at least do something in preparation for your garden, a bit of planning, order some seeds. It's going to make all the difference. So with that, I want to thank you all for watching. If you found this video helpful or entertaining in any way, sure would appreciate if you smash the thumb button. If you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. New uploads every week, sometimes every day, and I'm always giving you updates on all the different things growing on around here. So with that, have yourself a good one. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.